Hi there, everyone. Today is Monday. It is May 12th, 2025, and you're here with Robin at In the Family Way Coaching. We are here for our daily counting of the Omer, as well as our daily Bible reading. We are going through the Bible this year using the Day by Day Kids Bible, which has been written by Karen Henley, and it is fantastic. I am loving it. I can't say it enough. If you are following along on your commitment calendar, it's time to get that out and your sticker or however you're marking it off and get ready because you're about to hear the Bible today. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you are following along on your favorite podcast or whether you are watching on video somewhere. Thank you so much for joining me for this event. I'm so glad that God has led you here and that you are listening to the Bible every day this year. We are going to get through this year with the big story from Genesis to Revelation, and then we will have a big overview of what happened in the entire Bible. I think that is so awesome. Well, we are going to have our counting of the Omer, and if you would like to participate and count the Omer as well for yourself today, go ahead and just repeat after me. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has set us apart by your commandments and has commanded us to count the Omer. Today is the first week of the first day, sorry about that, of the 5th week and day 29. I have counted the Omer. Sorry for that misspeak there. Thank you for counting the Omer. I am so glad that you are choosing to count the Omer with me. We are going to be reading out of 2 Kings today, and we are going to be covering, let's see, 2 Kings chapter 8, verses 1 through 6, and then 2 Kings chapter 5. Remember, these are written chronologically, not in numerical order. And that's it, just those two sections today. Our first section is entitled The Rich Woman's Land. And you may remember that when Elisha would travel to Shunam, that he would stay with a woman who had set up a room area on her roof for Elisha to stay in when he would come and pass through the town. And at one point, Elisha wanted to do something kind for her, so he said that she would have a son since she had no son. And she did have a son. And then at some point, the son became ill. He had a headache, his head hurt, and he died. And in faith, this woman went to Elisha and asked him to heal her son. And Elisha came to the house and laid on the son, and he did that twice. And then the boy breathed again, and he brought the boy back alive, breathing, to his mother downstairs. He also told the woman to leave the area and to go to another land because God was going to send a time of 7 years where there would not be a lot of food there in the land. And so that way, God was taking care of her by giving this information to Elisha and then to pass it along to her. So we see that God was taking care of her. And today we are going to see her returning to her land 7 years after that. Now the rich woman that Elisha knew moved back to Israel. 7 years had gone by. She went to King Joram. She asked for her land back. King Joram was talking to Elisha's helper, Gehazi. And Joram had asked, "Tell me about the great things Elisha has done." So Gehazi was telling him about the time a boy died. And he told how Elisha made the boy live again. And just then, the rich woman came in with her son. "And here she is," said Gehazi. "And here's her son who came back to life." So King Joram asked the woman to tell him about it, and she did. Then the king called in a leader, and King Joram told him to make sure she got her land back. Our next section is 2 Kings chapter 5, and it's entitled Dipping into the River. Now Naaman was the leader of the army in Aram, and God had helped Naaman and his men win battles. So his king thought he was great. Naaman was very brave, but he had a bad skin sickness, leprosy. It made his skin white and sore. No one could make him well. Some fighting men from Aram had gone to Israel to fight, and they had found a young girl in Israel, and they had brought her back to their land. Naaman's wife had taken her to be a servant. The young girl went to Naaman's wife. "I wish Naaman would visit Elisha the prophet," she said. "Elisha is in Israel, and he would make Naaman well." Naaman went to his king, and he told him what the girl had said. "Then go see Elisha," said the king, "and I will send a letter with you to King Joram." So Naaman went to Israel, and he took 750 pounds of silver. He took 150 pounds of gold. He took 10 sets of clothes. He also took the letter from his king. It said, "I am sending Naaman to you. I want you to make him well." Now King Joram read the letter, and he was very upset. "Why is the king sending this man to me?" he said. "I'm not God. I can't bring people back to life." Elisha heard about it. "Aram is trying to start a fight," King Joram said. Now Elisha heard about it, so he sent King Joram a message. "Why are you upset? Tell the man to come and see me, and he will find out that there is a prophet in Israel." Naaman took his horses and chariots. He went to Elisha's house, and he stopped at the door. Elisha sent a man out to Naaman with this message: "Go to the Jordan River, dip down into the river 7 times, then your skin will be well." But Naaman became angry. "I thought Elisha would come out and see me," said Naaman. "I thought he'd stand there and call upon his God. I thought he'd wave his hand over my skin, and I thought he would make me well. We have better rivers in our land. Can't I be made well if I dip in them?" Then Naaman left, and he was very angry. But Naaman's helpers said to him, "What if Elijah had said to do something great? Wouldn't you have done that great thing? All he said was to wash in the river. So why don't you do it?" Then Naaman went to the Jordan River. He dipped himself in the water 7 times. After that, his skin was like new. Naaman and his helpers went back to see Elisha. He told Elisha, "Now I know that God is the only God. Please, let me give you a gift." "No," said Elisha, "I won't take anything from you." Naaman begged him to take a gift, but Elisha wouldn't. "Then let me take some dirt back home," said Naaman. "I will worship no one but God from now on. But there is one thing I have to do. My king goes to worship an idol, and he takes me with him. He has to lean on my arm. So I bow when he bows. I pray that God will forgive me for this." "Don't worry about it," said Elisha. "Go home in peace." So Naaman left to go home. Now Naaman had only been gone for just a little while, and Gehazi, Elisha's servant, began to think. And he thought, Elisha should have taken a gift. So I'll catch up with Naaman and I will take the gift. Gehazi ran after Naaman. Naaman saw Gehazi coming. So Naaman got down from his chariot. "What's the matter?" he asked. "Oh, everything is fine," said Gehazi. "But Elisha sent me to catch up with you. He says to tell you that 2 young prophets just came. Please leave 75 pounds of silver and 2 sets of clothes for them." "Oh, I would be glad to," said Naaman. But please take more than that." So Naaman gave Gehazi 150 pounds of silver. He gave him 2 sets of clothes. Then Naaman told 2 servants to carry the gifts for Gehazi. Gehazi and the servants walked down the road, and they came to a hill. Gehazi took the silver and the clothes from the servants, and then he sent the servants back to Naaman. Gehazi took the silver and clothes to the house. He hid them away, and then he went to go see Elisha. "Where did you go?" asked Elisha. "Oh, I didn't go anywhere," said Gehazi. "I know Naaman got down from his chariot," said Elisha. "My spirit was with you when he went to meet you. This is not a time to take money. This is not a time to take clothes or fields. It's not a time to take animals or servants. Now you will have Naaman's skin sickness." When Gehazi left, his skin had turned as white as snow. That is the end of our reading today. It actually says in our big Bible that Gehazi and his family, his sons, his children would be given the skin sickness forever. Let me read exactly what it says here. It says, "Therefore the leprosy of Naaman will cling to you and your offspring forever." So it wasn't just Naaman who would bear the disease for the rest of his life. It would be his offspring forever. God takes it very seriously when we take something that we are not supposed to take. Elisha didn't take anything from Naaman. But let's step back a little bit before we get to that part. Wasn't that an amazing reading? We saw how God provided for the woman to get her land back. And it actually tells us in the Big Bible that she not only received her land back, but she received the money from the fields that was collected during that time. Let me see how that reads. 2 Kings 8. When the king asked the woman, she told him the story. So the king assigned to her a court official, saying, "Restore all that was hers and all the revenue of the field since the day that she left the land until now." So look how well God provided for this woman. She was faithful and she obeyed, and God rewarded her obedience. We have spoken several times this year about how when God blesses us, He doesn't just bless us with bare minimum. When He doles something out, when He dishes something out, He measures out a good portion, tamps it down, and fills the cup to overflowing. She didn't just get her land back. God gave her all of the money that the land had made from the time that she had left until the time she returned. That was so amazing. God is so generous when we are faithful to obey. I'm just so in awe of the amount of love and provision that our generous God pours out onto us. He didn't have to do that, but he chose to do so. And she did not ask for revenue. He gave her more than what she asked for. That was just so wonderful. So now let's talk about Naaman. It says here that God had caused that Naaman to win battles. Now, wasn't Aram an enemy nation? And we've spoken before about how God can use anybody at any point in time, no matter who they are, even people that we might perceive as not being good. And he had used this man, Naaman. Now, we've also spoken about the fact that God can give us big things that we have to come to him about, because then we are inclined to come to him, and God knows what we will do. God knows everything. He gives us sometimes things that are very big so that we can see his glory, so that we can see him do amazing things. And God knew Naaman's heart. And here Naaman had this leprosy, and nobody could heal him. And so it just so happens, which we know there's no such thing as just so happens, that when he had gone into Israel and that he had taken a young girl, that his wife ended up with this young girl as a servant. And they must have been kind to her, because otherwise the woman may not have been inclined, I'm supposing, to and to say to the woman, I wish he would go to Elisha and he would heal him. So she was obviously someone who believed in God. And so here she was, taken captive, brought to another land, and made to work as a servant. And yet still, she worshiped God. She didn't blame God, it doesn't seem, and and turn away from God. Here she was in a foreign land, worshiping God in her heart. She may not have had anywhere to go for going to the temple, but in her heart, she believed in God and she had faith in him. And so she told the wife, and the wife told Naaman, and then he told Aram. Now, Aram was already familiar with the amazing things that the God of Israel had done, but he still chose to worship a false god. And Naaman took payment with him. He was hoping to be able to pay the prophet Elisha to heal him. But Elisha knew that what he had been given freely, he was going to freely give. God directed him to heal Naaman because Elisha heard about it. Now it's interesting that the Naaman went to the King Joram, instead of going directly to Elisha. He probably didn't know where to find Elisha, but King Joram didn't even direct him there. He sent him. He's just like, what am I supposed to do? I don't heal people. I don't bring people back to life. But here God did what he does, and he directed him, got him on the right path to go see Elisha. And sure enough, Elisha told him to go dip into the river. And so at first Naaman thought, this is ridiculous. We have better water where I come from. Why do I need to dip in his waters? But it wasn't the water that was going to heal him. It was his faith to do so. So he went and he did it at the advice of his servants. And that was so amazing. He got healed, even though he wasn't quite sure what was going on. He thought something magical was going to happen. He was going to wave his hand. He was going to call upon mighty God to heal him. But no, it was something he needed to do. He needed to show his obedience to God. And sure enough, once God healed him, God met him right where he was. God brought him that leprosy so that he could seek God out. God says when we seek him, we will find him. And so he was seeking God in his heart. God was working in him. God had worked through him, and now God was leading somebody from another country to himself. And then when he was healed, he asked for dirt so that he could be worshiping the God of Israel with with using some of Israel's dirt. That was in his mind the way to do so. And it immediately concerned his heart that he was having to bow to an idol that he knew was not a God. And he was concerned that God would hold it against him. And God knows our hearts, doesn't he? And so Elisha told him, don't worry about it. Go in peace. He knew that God was not going to hold it against him. And now he could obey his king with a clear heart and a clear conscience, knowing that God was not holding it against him. He was obeying authority while still honoring and worshiping God in his heart. And is there any better daily application from everything we have seen today? God meets us where we are. He meets you. He meets me. He draws us to him with circumstances that cause us to need to rely upon him. And whatever it is, we can take it to God. And we were talking about that the other day when my internet cut out, that we can take everything to God, everything to God, and not be concerned that he doesn't care, because God cares about us. He wants us to come to him, and he is drawing us to him because he loves us. Oh, and we saw the consequence to Gehazi when he was greedy and wanted something. So that was just, additional things that we can see. But our main application is that God loves us and he seeks us out, and he uses events to draw us in, and he is using everything in our life. He is working good into it. God can use everything for good. Can God use leprosy for good? Absolutely, he can. God can use everything for good. Because our God, nothing is too hard for him to do. Nothing is impossible with God. And I just love that he was drawing this person to himself. He wasn't even somebody from Israel, but God knew his heart. And God drew him to him. So I could just be in wonder of that all day long, and I probably will be. Just delighting in that. And I hope that you find that that is very applicable in your life too. God is drawing you in with circumstances that are going on in your life. Everybody has our own challenges. And whatever those challenges are, God is using them to draw you to him so that you can rely on him and call upon him. And when we seek him, we will find him. So thank you for joining me today. I hope that you feel God has lit your light, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day today. If you feel that God has lit your light, please click that light button at the end. It looks like a thumbs up. It looks like a heart. And if you also would consider hitting the subscribe or follow, or if you are on Apple Music, to leave a review. I don't know if Spotify has that, but if Spotify has that, then if you could please leave a review there too, to let other people know that God is working in your life by listening to these daily readings, and that you are having positive impact in your life with hearing God's word. And together we will spread the word about reading God's word so that other people may also see how it is applicable in their lives. And God will use their circumstances to draw them to him as well. So I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will be here for everyone again tomorrow.